Gaming has a loot box problem. See the quiver in my voice, Daves? Just give me the Oscar now.
Yeah. Just say it normally if you want.
You didn't like it, Mike, did you? Gaming has a loot box problem. Popularized by games like Overwatch, they're now in flipping everything, whether it's Shadow of War or Forza 7. While many players have voiced their concerns about loot boxes in the past, the issue is really hitting the gaming community at large now. So let's take a look at one of the biggest perpetrators of this bullshittery, Battlefront 2.
EA's Star Wars Battlefront 2 is the latest AAA game to be infused with the stench of a loot box system. The recent open beta made no attempt to hide that fact from players either. Actually, it wore it like a goddamn badge of honour. And while you couldn't spend any real money on the loot boxes in the beta, the game didn't shy away from showing off how they'll work when the full game releases.
Lol, does he say beta? Yes, that's how we f***ing say it.
I'm not that mad about it.
I've had 2 coffees already today, Mike.
Oh yeah.
That might be the issue.
Explaining a lot.
Like I said, it's going to be an angry video.
Battlefront 2's loot boxes contain abilities, new weapons, and scrap that can be used to make more guns and abilities. You might think it's great that the loot boxes give you scrap that can be used to craft new gear, but trust me, it is not. And that's because the amount of scrap that you receive from the loot boxes is negligible when compared to how much scrap it actually takes to craft guns and abilities.
Players are reporting that alongside the low value of scrap, which by the way can only be found in loot boxes, is the time it takes to earn loot boxes in game. It can take hours to earn a single loot box for some people. YouTuber Angry Joe calculated that it will take around 3,600 hours to earn every gun in Star Wars Battlefront 2. And if there's one guy whose calculations you can trust, it's Angry Joe. Is that right? Is he good at maths?
I thought it was funny because he's a guy called Angry Joe who did some calculations.
But surely you're thinking, the time to unlock the guns will differ greatly from player to player based on their skill in-game, right? Unfortunately, this isn't the case. In-game credits are given at a flat rate to the whole team, regardless of where you are on the leaderboard, your personal skill, or the number of kills and deaths you had within the match. An online shooter that doesn't reward players for being skilled, also 3,600 hours, me.
But wait, we're in luck. Thankfully, players can spend their real-life money on loot boxes to speed up the process. But the loot box woes in this game don't stop there. Not only are abilities only available from loot boxes, they also have different tiers. So when you open a loot box and find an ability inside, it could be either bronze, silver, or gold tier, which means there's 3 different versions of each star card ability ranging in effectiveness. Jesus Christ. For example, one of Boba Fett's abilities provide damage reduction while jetpacking, the bronze tier granting 50% damage reduction and the gold tier granting 100%. So from that alone we could gauge that gold tier star cards could be doubly better than bronze tiers, tempting players to buy more loot boxes if they wind up getting the bronze tier ability in the hopes of going gold.
That all sounds bullshit. But wait, there's more. The crates themselves vary in quality as well. First there's the common crate, which will contain 1 whole star card and some scrap. Next is the uncommon crate, providing you with at least 2 star cards, one of which is guaranteed to be uncommon. How exciting. Finally, there's the rare crate, giving you more scrap, 3 star cards, and you guessed it, one of those is guaranteed to be rare. While the higher tiers do provide a guarantee to include a cool card, there's no way of telling if that cool card will be a duplicate or not. And if it is a duplicate, well, it's just going to be turned into scrap. The more and more you delve into this loot crate system, the more like ridiculous it sounds. How convoluted and bullshit can they make it?
Let's find out. Now, you may have noticed that these loot crates do unlock an awful lot of stuff. And this is because loot boxes are the only way to unlock stuff in the game. That's right, Star Wars Battlefront 2 has avoided an actual player progression system, the kind popularized by COD Modern Warfare, in favor of loot crates and what is essentially a pay-to-win economy, and that is what it is. Gone are the days of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, where playing skillfully to rank up and unlock new guns and gadgets was the norm. Instead, ranking up now provides nothing beyond XP and credits, which can only be used to buy loot boxes, which are the only means of progressing your multiplayer character. F***ing RNG f***ing loot boxes. Star Wars Battlefront 2 has made loot boxes the only way of progressing, which means you can essentially pay to progress. This is bad, like really bad.
There's one thing implementing microtransactions and loot crates into your game, but when you make the whole progression of your character, the whole game is now loot boxes and loot crates. What the f are they doing? It's, how bad can it get?
Personally, having played the beta, it was something that we brought up in the video, in our kind of impressions video on the beta, that it was quite obnoxious and it was in your face and it was like the first thing that you see when you get in there. It was one of the main criticisms we had, and it's just a boring thing to have to deal with. Now, the fact that when you really have a close look at it, it looks like that it's absolutely tied to pay to win. Like, the only way to move forward is to buy loot boxes, and then you've got an option then to just spend money on it, so you unlock all this stuff by just throwing cash at it. I mean, how much more pay to win does it get? The only way it stops short of being fully pay to win is that, as far as we can tell, it's not 100% necessary. You don't have to spend money to unlock this stuff. You just totally can. You can completely skip the multiplayer grind, if you like, and just buy your way to success, which is bullshit.
I can't wait for Battlefront 3, where you're a loot box, shooting other loot boxes, but in a huge loot box, like this isn't a microcosm of loot boxes. Why not just make everything into loot boxes? It's pretty much what they've done here.
The word loot box and microtransaction is not something you want involved in these games at all, ideally, but you know, some of us, some commenters on YouTube videos, for example, might tolerate them to a certain degree. This is terrible. This and Shadow of War are two games that have come straight after each other that are just completely obnoxiously shoving them in your face and sabotaging the core game, like completely undermining what the game is and should be. For the sake of loot boxes, that is very bad. This is the end point that we all saw coming when we were complaining about loot boxes like a year ago. This is where we thought it would end up, and look, what do you know, look where we are.
It's the loot apocalypse, eh?
The loot box system in Star Wars Battlefront 2 is awfully reminiscent of another big recent release, Shadow of War. In both games, there's different types of loot boxes which can be purchased, and in Shadow of War, the game becomes a long quest to build up an army of legendary orcs to unlock the true ending and see the end credits. The only way to do that is by getting enough of those legendary orcs. Anyone that doesn't fork out for loot boxes will wind up getting bored by the grind, according to some reviewers and players. This is essentially putting content behind a paywall, and not just any paywall, it's a randomized paywall. Star Wars Battlefront 2 has a similar problem and makes players play for an annoyingly long amount of time to unlock stuff, perhaps just annoying enough to tempt players into buying loot boxes.
While 2015's Star Wars Battlefront suffered from a lack of content in the base game, with the rest of the game locked behind a season pass, Star Wars Battlefront 2 has a much more glaring problem. I'm sure there are many who would have preferred Battlefront 2 to have a season pass over this cash-grabbing, microtransaction-riddled loot box bullshit we've been given instead. Some would even, and I count myself amongst these, take a more expensive base price like $70 or even $80 to avoid this nonsense. But hey, at least John Boyega's happy now, and that's all that truly matters, right?
So guys, how do you feel about the approach that EA has taken with loot boxes in this game? Do you like the fact that there's so much stuff that you can just unlock at random, or is it bullshit that they've replaced the progression system with just loot boxes? Let us know what you think down in the comments. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed it, and to subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this every single day. There's another video right there which you can watch right now, and of course a link to Patreon if you want to support the channel. See you next time.